Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. We've got a good one for you as usual. We've got the head coach of the newly announced Michigan Arsenal of Arena Football 1. We got Coach Shawn Liotta on the program to talk about his football journey, the various stops he's had along the way through. Seems like he coached in every corner of the state of Pennsylvania, his experience in fan-controlled football, and what's next for the Michigan Arsenal as they gear up for their inaugural 2026 season. So I had a really good chat with him, had a special guest join the conversation as well. We'll also dive into some AF1 news, IFL news, and a little bit of NAL as well. But before we get into any of that, it's time for plugs. That's right. If you don't follow us already, please make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball. Off the Wall FB. We are on Instagram, X, Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. So go make sure you're following us on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. Hello. Hope you enjoy the little scenery we got here. Please make sure you're liking the video, subscribing to the YouTube channel, commenting, all that good stuff. It all helps feed the algo and, get us in front of some more eyes here. And that's what this offseason is about, is ramping it up and reloading for a 2026 season that is going to be a very fun one. And I feel like we've got some more announcements coming along the way across multiple leagues that will make 2026 one of the biggest years of arena and indoor ball of the past decade or so. So it's gonna be a good one. So make sure you're following us, liking, subscribing, all that stuff on there. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're rating the show, liking the show, all that stuff. Again, it helps feed the algo. I don't know how the algorithm works. It's a thing. Please do it. Just please do it. We also have t-shirts available on offthewallfb.com. I actually have an example of one right here. Got a shipment of them sent out earlier this week. Look at that. Look at that drop fold. Look at that. Beautiful. So go make sure you get your order in on offthewallfb.com. And we also have a affiliate link that's in the bio below to Royal Retros. Royal Retros has a bunch of throwback football leagues, not just arena football, but they got some European football, all sorts of sports, honestly. So go check out the link below and use code OFFTHEWALL, one word, for 10% off your total purchase. And if you do make a purchase, shoot me a DM. Let me know what you got. They got lots of cool stuff on there, and I could fall down a rabbit hole every single time I click through that site. It's quite a site. It's quite a site. Website. Okay. Here's the interview with Coach Shawn Liotta. All right. On the show this week, we have the very first coach in Michigan Arsenal history. He's been around the indoor and arena football game for over 2 decades now, winning championships and breaking plenty of records along the way. His name is Coach Shawn Liotta. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the show. How are things going in your world?
Trey, I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on and look forward to talking some arena ball with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love talking arena ball. We love talking indoor football. And you're one of the guys in this entire community, in this niche, where I'm like, this is a one-of-one journey. Like, everyone has a one-of-one journey, but there's nothing quite like the one you've taken along the way. So just as like laying a foundation, tell us a little bit about your football journey, your background, and how you found your way into the world of arena football.
Sure. Yeah, it's unique. Just like this is a unique game. I think you hit the nail on the head. Everybody's journey is kind of different, with how they do it. I've been fortunate. This will be my 27th year of coaching, either at the collegiate, high school, or professional level. And my journey began at Duquesne University. I was an assistant there. Actually, before that, I was an assistant at Springdale High School, where I played, and I later went to Robert Morris University, which is in Pittsburgh. And once I finished up there, I started coaching at Duquesne University under Greg Gattuso, who was a great coach. And I coached the running backs there, and we won the 1AA national championship in 2003. And, it was just a great experience. But, I was a guy, I wanted to be a high school head coach. That was my goal. So at the age of 23, I was hired as a high school head coach in Pennsylvania, which is not that's not an easy thing to do. So, I took over a program at 23, and, we broke a bunch of records up there, and we were running a run and shoot offense, and broke all the passing records. And, I think we were third in the state or something like that in passing that year. So, we did a lot of good things. But then I wanted to move back to the Pittsburgh area. I'm from the Pittsburgh area, and I was getting married. I've been married for, it'll be 20 years next year. Yeah, I've been to be 20 years next year, and we have a beautiful 15-year-old daughter. So, this was way before that, of course. I'm 23.
Right. Yeah.
And, so I wanted to move back to the Pittsburgh area. So I took a head coaching job, in the Pittsburgh area. And, in the meantime, there was a team that was coming to Pittsburgh. They were going to put this indoor football team in Pittsburgh. And, it was going to be called the Pittsburgh River Rats, of all things. So, I interviewed and got the job there. And it was in what was called the old AIFL. Was what it was originally called, the American Indoor Football League, and it was the precursor to the AIFA, and I will caution, I'm not talking bad about any leagues, but the AIFL was a really good league back then. In fact, the ironic thing enough is, this is 2006, 2007, we were paying the same as the IFL pays now.
Wow.
So, it was kind of amazing. Yeah, it was $250 a game and the 50 win bonus and all that stuff, way back then,
Yeah, no kidding. Huh.
It's kind of really unique, when you really think about it. But, so from there, I went there, we did some good things, made the playoffs that first year, and then they moved the team to Erie, PA. There was a team in Erie called the Erie Freeze. The Erie Freeze was defunct. So our owner, a guy by the name of Jeff Hauser, moved the team from Pittsburgh to Erie. And, I made the move with them, obviously. And we had a great run up there. I mean, we really did. And he ended up selling the team to another group of owners, and they were great to work with. Bill Stafford was the longtime owner there for a long, long time in Erie. And really, we had a really good run up there. Now we ended up having to change our name. We went from, this is the wide world of indoor football, you could say. So we changed our name. We took the Pittsburgh River Rats and moved them to Erie, and we called them the Erie River Rats. Well, the problem, there's no rivers in Erie, Pennsylvania. There's a great big lake, but there's there's no rivers up there. So it didn't really resonate. So they had the idea to name the team the Erie Storm. So for 1 year we were the Erie Storm. And the issue there was we got sued by a college in Ohio, Lake Erie College in Ohio, because they were also called the Storm.
Wow.
So we actually had to change the name from the Storm to the Erie Explosion.
Okay.
It became the Erie Explosion, and of course that ended up later on getting a lot of jokes because of the whole, they had an Erie collar bomber, I'm sure you've heard of the news and all that. So, kind of it was
whoops.
Yeah. But we were the Erie Explosion, and we had some great runs up there, and I coached a lot of really, really good players, and we won championships. We had great attendance, great fans. It was a great time, and there was a period of time they had an ownership transition. In that time, it was 2009. I actually coached a team in Wheeling. I was a head coach of the team in Wheeling for a year. And then I went back to Erie in 2010 and was there through 2015 when the team, they finally, our owner decided to shut the team down. So from there, I was going to be kind of done with, arena football, indoor football at that point. It was kind of, but I saw this thing, and this group of guys was putting together a league. They wanted, or a team. They wanted to get a team, and they were going to have it run by the fans. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really fascinating. And I said, you know what? I said, that's a really great idea for indoor football, because the whole game of indoor football is about the fans.
Right.
That's really the whole the whole deal. So I was like, man, this is interesting. So I reached out to him, and we started having a discussion. A guy by the name of Sorab Faruti. And the company was called Project Franchise. And he said, well, we'd love to bring you on board, to kind of head things up from the football standpoint. So, I did that. And the first, that was 2016. And we had two teams in the IFL. One was totally fan run and one was not fan run. So one was in Salt Lake City that was totally run by the fans. And then there was also a team in Colorado. Though that was not fan run, but it was still under our umbrella, and we still kind of ran it, owned it, if you will. And, they came to the recollection after that. It was basically, look, it's hard to do the fan controlled deal when we can't really control a lot of the variables. So like we're the only team that was fan controlled. The other team, you have Wi-Fi issues. You just have various issues that you're dealing with when you're trying to do that, where you know the fans are calling plays off of an app and so forth. So we decided to start our own league. Long story short, so we began the planning for that, and we ended up launching that league in during COVID of all things. It was we were the only league going.
Yeah.
And it ended up working out because we had everybody kind of like they do now with the UFL. It was a single entity, single area. Everybody practiced, lived in the same place. And, we played our games, and it was extremely successful for 2 years. I mean, you look at the views we had, we raised over $40 million. The players that we had in the league, I mean, you could go from the first year, Cavante Turpin, Manziel. I mean, there's just so many guys. I mean, there's so many guys playing in the IFL now that were in that league, or the AFL, AF1 that were in that league. It's just there's so many guys. And year two, same thing. You have Terrell Owens and, Martavis Bryant and, just guys like that. It was really good to work with those guys. And we had a great coaching staff. All of our coaches were ex-NFL guys, ex-major college guys. It was just a really good deal, but that kind of ran its course. And then, I thought I was kind of retired, so to speak. And because I'd have these teams call me every year, I'd have teams.
Of course. Yeah.
I'd have people, and it's just, for me, it's got to be something where like Saginaw, Michigan, I drove there and back this week. Okay. So I was up there for a number of days, and I drove back home to my home here in Pittsburgh. So of course I'll live up there during the season, and I'll be up there quite a bit in the off season, but it's nice. I can come here and, come back home. I can't do that if I'm in New Mexico or I'm somewhere on the other side.
Right. Yeah.
It's very difficult. Yeah. So a lot of those job offers presented, I'll obviously love to talk to anybody, but they're just not, it just wasn't something that was really, that I was pursuing. And, I was kind of just, coaching high school football and I speak at a lot of coaching clinics around the country. I've written a couple books and, do a lot of consulting work like that with programs as well. And, Josh Resignalo reached out to me and said, hey, you want to come down here to Wheeling with the minors and, be the offensive coordinator. And I said, well, shoot, I was a head coach in Wheeling before. And
right. Yeah.
Go down there and, have some fun and go down there. And, I had got, in the meantime, the AF1 had reached out. They had an ownership group that was going into Wilkes-Barre. So they said, be the head coach in Wilkes-Barre. I interviewed for that, and I ended up getting hired for that. And, that didn't end up, working out. I don't really want to dwell on that, or, it is what it is. Things happen and you move on. But, then Wheeling called me up. It was a week before the training camp, and they said, you want to come back and be the offensive coordinator?
Offer's still there. Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, yeah, shoot, I'll come down there, but it was kind of unique because it was, it was a week before the season. I didn't really get to pick any of the players or anything like that, and it was kind of unique, but, and I'm very appreciative of them for that. Very appreciative of Josh Resignalo for having me down there. Very appreciative of the owner, Chris Duffy, class acts, all the way, certainly having me down there. I really, really appreciate that. And then this came about here. So, this was a call that I got to interview for the job. And, I hit it off, I think, very well with our owner, Mr. George Bradford, with the Michigan Arsenal. And I think he's an excellent owner. I think he's going to be, believe me, because I was interviewing him as much as he was interviewing me now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I was definitely, I was, I needed to make sure that this was going to be a really good situation. And it is. This is an excellent situation. I couldn't ask for a better situation. Really happy with, I think, where we're going to go with this. Very happy to be working for George Bradford. I think he's going to be a great owner in the AF1. And I was hired in, just so people know, this isn't a thing that we just had the press conference last week in Saginaw. I signed my contract. I signed my contract in July. So this is not a new thing. And you just haven't heard about it because I hate to say this, I'm a professional. And I'll say this is what might say, and I don't talk bad about anybody or anything like that. I have respect for all coaches and all leagues and, all that kind of stuff. But, I'm not somebody that's going to go on there and start a bunch of stuff on social media or put stuff out. I mean, this is a professional business. So I treat
Yeah.
it as that. And that's why really nobody outside of the group that was involved really even knew that this was all going on. And we're just excited to get rolling. So that's kind of the journey, Trey. So yeah, it's been different. It's been it's been exciting. It's been 27 years of a lot of football and a lot of winning football and a lot of just different experiences. So I'm really, really thrilled to get this going.
Yeah, where you don't step in on social and put your foot in your mouth, I'll do that for you. I make up for it for you.
There
So,
you go. There you go.
um, so yeah, that's something I noticed when I was looking at your career at a macro level is what you touched on about like picking and choosing your spots. It seems like everything has been hyper local to where you live, which has been really neat to see. Like talking about Erie, Pittsburgh, Wheeling. Wheeling is basically Pittsburgh. If for those that don't know, not familiar with the area, so it makes sense that this Michigan Arsenal job is right up your alley because, like you said, you can get there and back pretty quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a family man first and foremost. That's the that's the thing, and so I'm very selective. Like I said, very selective of where I go, and probably the furthest I went, lived for a long period of time. We were in Atlanta, with FCF, and I lived down there for a period of time, and that was probably but that was an easy flight. See, that's the thing. It's an easy flight.
Everywhere goes to Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy from Atlanta to Pittsburgh. So that actually wasn't too bad. I would fly back and forth quite a bit there. So that was pretty good.
Yeah. So what was your first exposure to the arena or indoor game before you got into coaching? Like, did you know about the original AFL growing up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just like anybody else, I followed it. I followed all football,
Yeah.
It's like anything else. And I was drawn to the fast pace, the pass heavy, all those things that make, arena football so great certainly drew me to it. And then when they were going to put a team in Pittsburgh and the ownership that was putting it in there wanted to talk to me about the job, I said, well, shoot, yeah, I can figure this out. And like any coach, I think I was 26 years old when I got hired for my first indoor head coaching job. And I had a lot to learn. So I went and talked to people and learned and watched a lot of film and studied. And, you learn by doing, you learn by, you learn. And that's what I guess hurts some coaches when, you have some coaches that they want to get into the game, but at the same time, they don't have the experience, and it's how do they get the experience, right? And a lot of times people aren't as fortunate as I was, and I will say that, I was very fortunate to get that opportunity.
So you've been involved in coaching the traditional outdoor game and the indoor game, sometimes simultaneously, it seems like. What are some of the ways that coaching both games are the same, and what are some ways that the variance of the sport kind of differs when it comes to your coaching approach?
Yeah, I mean, they're totally different games. Arena football and indoor football are totally different. I've coached both rule sets. Now, I will admit I've been much more successful in the arena game, much more successful with that rule set. I have a lot of respect for both sets, but they're totally different players you're looking for, just totally different techniques, totally different, and there's some carryover the same way there's carryover to outdoor football. But, at the end of the day, high school football is much different than pro football. You're dealing with adults as opposed to dealing with, young men and, children, if you will, that you're trying to help mold and build into, use football as a vehicle to help them in their life. And not that, that's not what we're trying to do with the Michigan Arsenal, but you're dealing with adults. This is a different deal. We still want to have a positive impact on our guys. I've already talked with our owner about, having some programs in place, for the guys, financial literacy, things off the field, things that I think are very important, because at the end of the day, for everybody, this game ends. So what are we doing? What are we doing for our players more than just using them as a player? Using them as someone to play for our team? Are we doing anything to help them? And we did that in the FCF quite a bit. We had different we had people come in and teach our guys how to start LLCs and run businesses and little things that you take for granted, how to open a bank account and,
Right.
Balance a bank account and just various things like that, I think are really, really critical and, can help a lot of these guys. If we can give guys
Sure,
some
yeah.
tools, if we can give guys some tools to put in their toolbox, they know we care about them more than just a player. We care about them off the field. That's the kind of culture I think that we're trying to build here in Michigan with the Arsenal.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's little stuff like that can add up, and it can really add that value to like when a player's looking at option A,
Sure.
option B, that little stuff adds up
Sure.
really quickly. So
There's no question.
So a lot of places you coached in the 2010s were those smaller indoor leagues, the alphabet leagues, if you will, jumbles of letters. You just throw them on the table, they'll form a league. How do you think the game of indoor and arena football has grown and evolved in that time that you've been coaching and play calling?
Well, I think again, what has changed kind of stays the same.
Right.
I mean, we talked about there are talented players in any league, in every league. And there are, and that's the one thing, people say, well, are you guys behind, finding players and things like that? And the answer is no, we're not.
Yeah.
I am very, and this is getting off topic of your original question, but it has validity to what you're asking, I think.
Yeah.
So the talent of players in these leagues has only continued to get better, but it's always been really, really good. Like if I named you some of the guys that played for me in these various leagues, I mean, it would blow your mind. I mean, we're talking 7-8 year NFL vets. We're talking guys that ended up going to the NFL, guys, tons of guys, CFL, the old AFL. Just the talent level was really, really good. And I think it still is. And I think it still is across all leagues. Now, obviously, I think Arena Football 1 is, in my opinion, and again, you people can take it for what it is or what it's worth. Yeah. We are the highest paying base salary league that plays indoors on paper.
Yeah.
Now there's people that cheat and pay much more than that. And we all know that.
On paper.
A lot of oblivious that. And I will tell you this, and I mean this. I had never cheated and paid a player more than the contract said in all my time when I coached. So all the guys I had, all the quarterbacks I had, Rod Rutherford, Adam DeMichael, all these MVP quarterbacks, they played for what it said on the contract.
Yeah.
Straight up, because we didn't do that because, and probably the one thing I'll say about this as a business model, and that's why, and it's a shame, but like when I said about how the salary of the AIFL is the same as the salary in the IFL now, and that was in 2006, and it's still the same. It's because that's what the business model sustains. Like this is a business.
Yeah. Like
these teams that are going out and paying guys all of this money and doing all this. Look, it's great. I'd love to be able to offer guys, thousands and thousands of dollars. That'd be awesome. But it's a business at the end of the day. This is not a full-time job for the players. It's never been designed as that. And that's not a negative thing. This is a vehicle. Just what I said earlier. And it still is. It's always been a vehicle, and it still is a vehicle. I mean, you go back to the Kurt Warner days, you go back to all those, it's a vehicle to use this game to propel yourself to another level of pro football and keep playing. One of my best friends in the world is a scout with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I talk to him every week. You know what they do when guys sit on the couch? They are off the radar. And I tell players that. So these guys that they come out and they don't get their NFL look or they get cut or whatever it might be, and they want to sit around and sit at home and wait for their agent to get them the next NFL workout or whatever kind of workout it is.
Right.
Once they do that for a year and they sit, they're off the radar. They're no longer, you have to play to be relevant. This gives guys an opportunity to play and get verifiable film and get ways to advance themselves. The other way it can be, do you know how many guys that I have helped that have played for me get jobs coaching college football, high school football, just all sort of different things because they played for me and I helped them. They made connections. That's another part of the deal. And then the part where I talked about where we want to be more than just football. We want this to be an organization where we're helping develop players off of the field. Okay. We're trying to set guys up to have them have success off the field when their playing career is done, because a lot of people don't do that. So that's something that we will put time into, we will put resources into, and we will, hopefully give guys another tool to really advance their careers off of the field when it's over, because
right,
it ends for, your number gets called, everybody, it's going to end for us all, and that's just the way that it works. So, but yeah, I've seen the leagues, it's good. And it's crazy. It's such a small world, man. It really is. Like, I can't tell you how many people that, I have met through this. The weird thing is the market of Saginaw. One way that came about was, look, I at one point I made a list of all the cities I'd been to coaching, okay, indoor arena football. And I had a list. I had all these places, and most of them I would never want to go to again.
Business trips only. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Small little towns. I mean, everything from big cities to small cities to places I've never heard of. And some of them I would never go there again. And some of them you'd go to the games and you'd just be saying to yourself, this is not going to work. Like, there are 100 people in the stands. This is just not going to work. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there are other places you go and you're like, wow, like they get it here. Like this is the fans are passionate. The fans are into it. One of those places that always stuck out in my mind was Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to coach as an opposing coach 4 times in Saginaw. Every time I was there, that place was close to being packed. I mean, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people in that venue. Okay. I went 3-1 in that place. I'm one of the few people that probably has a winning record as an opposing coach in that arena. So I remember that arena very, very well. The first year we went there, they had and they were a very successful franchise, the Saginaw Sting, extremely successful. We were their nemesis in Erie. We were their number one adversary. My first year when we played them, we snapped they had like an 18-game winning streak. We snapped it at their place. Later in the year, we beat them in the championship at our place. Well, you fast forward to the next year, they snapped our 15-game winning streak. We had a 15-game winning streak. They snapped it, and we turned around and beat them at their place in the playoffs. So each of those games, I just remember the fans. The fans up there were great. They were loud. They were passionate. They're the kind of fans that, you want, and you just remember it. So when they were going through the process of talking about cities, I mentioned to our owner, I said, look into the Dow Event Center in Saginaw, Michigan. I said, let's do some research there. And you start to look at the numbers, and you look at how well the Saginaw Spirit, the hockey team, has drawn over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the OHL, okay, they have drawn excellent. The market supports it, and those are the things that you remember. And I think when you get cities like that, that's why you see the longevity of cities that have had indoor arena football for a long time. They do it right. They stay within their budget.
Right.
Okay. They are active in the community. They're about the community. Our owner, George Bradford, has a lot of initiatives he's going to be putting in place in the Saginaw market to give back to the city, give back to the community. Those are very important. Like when you do those kind of things, the cities will, and you have good football, and we're going to have good football, and the cities are going to support you. When you have good football and the cities support you, you'll be good. And if you're wondering, this guy here, his name is Trooper. So he is a
trooper.
Yeah, he's a Chihuahua. His first name is Storm. His last name is Trooper.
Okay.
We're Star Wars. We like Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm picking that up. Yeah.
Yeah, our previous dog was a pug. His name was Yoda. He passed away. So now we've got Stormtrooper here. So he
looks like a stormtrooper. Yeah.
Much. Yeah, he was barking too much. So that's why we
Gotcha. Well, a Shawn Liotta interview would not be complete without talking about that Erie Explosion game, and you probably know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Sure.
The record-breaking one. What was it? It was 138
138 against the Fayetteville Force. Now I'll tell you the whole story of it. I'll
Please
get you
do. Yeah.
You want the whole story? We'll give you the whole story. So
Yeah.
that was in the old SIFL, which was an excellent league, by the way. I'm going to be honest with you. That league was really, really good. That was a good league, a strong league, really good. I mean, people research that if you want to research. It was a good league. I mean, really good league. And somehow Erie, PA was in the Southern Indoor Football League. Explain that to me. I really don't know, but we were in the Southern Indoor Football League.
Yeah.
So the Fayetteville team had it. What happened was they had run into some issues, like we just talked about with some of these teams, right? So we were really good that year. Like, let me preface that. Like, we averaged over 70 points a game. Our quarterback that year his name was Adam DeMichael, was with the Philadelphia Eagles. He threw 98 touchdowns and 6 interceptions or something during the regular season. We had 4 receivers that were so good. We had a guy by the name of Kevin Concepcion. He had 47 touchdown receptions that year. We had Tyrone Morris, who was a veteran, played for the Columbus Lions for a long time, for my man Jason Gibson, really, really good receiver. We had a guy, Ernest Jackson, who played in the CFL a long time after he played for us. So that's one of those guys that he played for us a year. He's from the University of Buffalo. He went up to the CFL and had a long career. In fact, I remember sitting in my living room the one day and I put the TV on, and there's 2 guys that I coached in Erie playing in the Grey Cup, and one of them was the league's most outstanding special teams player, Javon Johnson. And then Ernest Jackson was the CFL Rookie of the Year that year. And they were facing off in the Grey Cup. And I just thought that was really cool. Both had played for us at Erie. So that goes back to the talent level, of the guys that you get. So back to the Fayetteville thing. So apparently they ran into an issue where they had some pay issues, which sometimes happens, with some of these teams, unfortunately. And half their team decided to not get on the bus to come up. So they had to, so they had a mixture. What they had was they had half of their real team, and then they signed some guys at the last minute. So it was going to be bad. I mean, we knew it was not going to be, and it was bad. Let me just say. So we had a packed house. We had probably 3,000, 4,000 people jammed in there in the Erie Insurance Arena. And we put it on them pretty good. And I forget what the score was at halftime. It was pretty ugly. Maybe 80 something or not, it was bad. So, and I took my quarterback out. I took my quarterback out at halftime, and we put the backup in, and he threw like 7 touchdown passes himself. But we started getting close to it. We started getting close. Yeah. And they announced over the loudspeaker, they said, well, if they score 100 points, everybody gets a free hot dog at the concession stand.
All right.
To keep the fans engaged, because we were legitimately concerned about keeping our fans engaged, because our fans were competitive football. So they say, you hit 100, everybody gets a free hot dog. So we hit 100, everybody got the free hot dog. Then it was, if they hit 120 or something, you can get a free ticket or something, free voucher or whatever. And then somebody found out. They said that the Caddy Copperheads in Texas, Bam Morris was on that team, apparently, the old NFL running back. They had the record. It was 136 in the old NIFL.
Okay.
So they said, we got to break this. They said, so I said, hey, we're going to break it. So we did. And I'm telling you, it was 138-0. The fans loved it. You thought
they were going nuts.
I'm telling you, they loved it. They had a great time, and that's what was most important, because we wanted to entertain the fans. We really wanted to make sure that our fans were entertained and that they weren't spending their hard-earned money, for a bad product. And that's something that I'm like very serious about as a coach, and with the franchise here. When our fans invest their money, we need to make sure they're getting a product, that they can be proud of. Like, we're in the entertainment business.
For sure.
Yeah. We are in the football business, but we're in the entertainment business. Like that is our job. Like, our job is to make sure the fans are entertained. So, we'll be high flying, high scoring. We're going to put up points. We're going to do all of that.
Yeah, with 138 points, I'm just thinking from the fan perspective. I'm like, all right, the first 30 points, you're like, yeah, we're laying it on them. The second 30, you're like, what is going on? But then as you get back to 100, you're like, all right, we're back. Like I can
I'm going to
imagine the roller
guarantee you
coaster.
one thing, Trey. That record will never be broken.
Yeah,
That
it
record
seems
will never be broken because of the fact we were really good that year. Like we
yeah,
were averaging 70. Like
right,
we were
yeah,
winning games. We were winning games 90 to 78. Like we could score. Okay. Like we
yeah,
had many games that were like that, literally. Like we went against Rod Miller's team, and Rod Miller coached a team in Trenton. They had a really good team. They had a quarterback, E.J. Nemeth, was really good. Big guy, would stand in there, take hits. They had some really good teams, and we'd go back and forth with them, and like a game would be 90 to, I think it was 90 to 82 one time. I think it was 87 to 80 or something. Like, I mean, it was crazy. But that's how arena football is supposed to be. I'll be
yeah.
honest, I cringe because I watch the game. I stay engaged. I watch the games. I cringe when I see teams score 13 points or
Yeah.
something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
With arena rules.
Yeah.
With arena rules now. Now, it's a different, the indoor rules are a different ball of wax, because it's hard. I'll be honest. It's a different game. The indoor game is a different game. It really is.
Yeah, there were a couple arena rules games last year. It was like 20 to 21. I was like, this is a
That's not
painful
going to
viewing
happen in
experience.
Michigan. I can promise
Yeah.
you that's not going to happen in Michigan.
I
I
was
can
like, man,
guarantee
I'm a diehard, but I'm struggling.
you're not going to see that in Michigan. I can promise you
Good.
that.
That's good. Well, you mentioned the FCF, the fan controlled football. I was watching some of the behind the scene vlogs leading up to this to get a better idea of what that was like, and it looked like it was a pretty well run, pretty fun
Oh,
like
absolutely.
production to be a part of.
Extremely, yeah.
Yeah,
Extremely
tell me more about
professional.
that.
Yeah, extremely professional. A lot of money went into it. Like I said, $40 million.
Yeah,
We raised for that's a lot of money now. So it cost a lot of money to do it. And that's why it didn't, we did it for 2 years, and it kind of
yeah,
just the crypto markets were heavily involved with the league, and they kind of had a downturn. And I think that had an effect with some of the investors, because there were some great ideas. In fact, I have a great picture of they took of me and Mike Bibby together that they were going to use for a promotional thing. And Mike Bibby was going to coach fan controlled basketball. We had him hired to do that. And I was coaching fan controlled football. So
wow,
there's a
okay,
really cool picture. You have to find it and send it to you of us together. And that never got to launch, unfortunately, just with, the way the markets changed and the way
yeah,
the investing kind of changed there. But it was a fun deal. And the players we had, like Terrell Owens, Johnny Manziel, Martavis Bryant. I mean, the list goes on and on of guys that played in that league. And there's so many guys that are playing right now. In fact, one of them in the NFL. And that's when people say that these leagues, can't be that vehicle. Quantez Stiggers was at a car dealership washing cars and came to an open workout for us with the FCF. We had no clue who this kid was. He came, he showed up, and all of our coaches, like I told you, were ex-NFL coordinators and stuff like that. And I remember the one came to me, he said, Shawn, he said, this young kid, he's only like 19 years old. He's one of the best players out here. And I said, are you serious? I said, where do you go to school? He said, we're looking on the sheet and we don't see any school. There's no college listed for him. And we're like,
yeah,
wow, what's going on? So he had some issues, personal issues with his family. He wasn't able to, he had to drop out of school.
wow,
And, he played in our league and he did really, really well. And then he went to the CFL and was the rookie of the year in the CFL. And then he gets drafted, a 5th round draft pick of the Jets. He's with the Jets now, Quantez Stiggers. So
yeah,
that's a guy that, is a great, really a great kind of poster child for going to an open workout,
yeah, yeah.
and, and using the vehicle of the game of indoor arena football to advance their career. That's exactly what happened there. And it really speaks volumes to the validity of what these leagues are all about.
Right. Yeah, you just need to get that opportunity, and like anything on tape is better than tape collecting dust. Like that's been the common theme with all my talks I've had with players. They're like, "Look,
Absolutely.
I just need to stay active." I
Yeah,
just need to.
and sometimes they get bad advice from agents, and that's a shame, because the agent will be holding out to get them a better opportunity. Like, I'll be honest, myself, I can tell you this with the Michigan Arsenal, any player we sign, if he comes to me, and says, "Hey, coach, I got a better opportunity to go play for this team, that team, whatever," I'm releasing him. I'm not putting him on. I'm not doing what these teams do. We put guys on. You hurt a guy and put him on league suspension and all this other kind of stuff. And look, if a guy has an opportunity to better himself, I'm not going to stand in his way to do that, whatever it might be. And so plus we want guys that want to be here. If a guy doesn't want to be here, why do I want him here? Why are we going to hold his rights? But I promise you, this is a place guys are going to want to be. I mean, that's throughout my career. I think when you talk to people who have played for me or been around me, they're going to tell you I'm a class act. They're going to tell you that they get treated with professionalism, that we run a professional organization. And that's what we're going to do here in Michigan, and I kind of cringe at some of the stuff I see out there, really truthfully, I stay out of that stuff. I don't get involved in that, but that's why I'm so happy to be in this league and to be coaching against these coaches in this league, because there are true professionals in this league. I mean, you look at Darren Arbett. I mean, greatest of all time. I mean, true gentleman. One of the, obviously you could argue, greatest of all time in the arena game. Coach Ware does a phenomenal job. Up there in Albany. Coach Walker in Northern Kentucky. Absolutely. Just a great football coach, and likewise, there's a lot of guys like that throughout the league that are true professionals, gentlemen, and certainly that's what we're going to bring here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you didn't waste any time in signing the first ever Michigan Arsenal player. Quarterback Malik Henry is going to be the quarterback for the Arsenal moving forward. What about him made him the guy to kind of build this team around moving forward?
Yeah, so the most important thing for me is, the trigger man, the offense, right? So we're going to be high scoring, we're going to be high flying, we're going to put points on the board. You have to have a quarterback to do that. Now, there aren't a lot of guys out there that can play this arena game. Arena and indoor are totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Arena, you got to have a quarterback that has a feel for it, that can play under the center, that has good mechanics from under the center, can get the ball out of his hand, can read the defense quickly. Malik Henry is, in my opinion, the best quarterback signed in the Arena Football One right now, and I believe he'll be the best in the league. And I stand behind that. And the stats back that up. I mean, I'll be honest, the stats back that up. When he's played in the league here, he's excelled. When he's played in other arena-based leagues with arena rules, he has excelled. He has put up tremendous numbers. He has elite arm talent. He has the ability. He's going to do the things with the football that I'm going to want him to do. He's going to get the ball out of his hand. He's going to make good decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what's so hard about arena football. You got to have a guy that can do that. We're in the indoor game. We're in the indoor game. I'll be honest. A lot of those guys are what I call snap catchers. They're not quarterbacks. They're snap catchers. And that's not a knock on them, but you're running all the zone read and inverted read, and they have to just kind of be able to throw it well enough, because I'm a believer in the indoor game. If you don't run the quarterback offensively, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage numbers-wise. And you really look at it, there's only so many teams that get away with not running their quarterback. Nate Davis in San Diego is a great example, but he's a phenomenal quarterback. He would excel in the arena game. He's kind of the anomaly of an arena quarterback playing indoor football. You just don't see that a lot. A lot of it is guys that I call them, and it's not a knock, but they're snap catchers. They're running back. They're running backs back there playing the quarterback position. And that's okay. That's that game. That there's a lot of positives.
It works. Yeah.
But it doesn't work here. It doesn't work
not
here.
At all.
I don't think you can go. I don't think you go from the shotgun in this. I think I think you can do it some. I think you can, but primarily we'll be under the center and playing the traditional arena style game, the way that you have to do it. And in my opinion, and I think he's just a really great fit for it. And I think he's going to excel in our organization. We're excited about him.
Awesome. Well, what keeps you around the sport of arena football? Like it takes a certain type of coach to get involved, and it takes a certain type of coach to stay involved for as long as you've been.
Man, I have fun, man. I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I like to have fun. I get out, I like to get out there with the guys, and keeps you real young, and you see the same guys come through, and even just the kind of, I call them the cast of characters that are always around teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the same. Like it doesn't matter what city you go to or where you go. It's like interchangeable. It's like the same guys, and it kind of puts you into a time warp. Where you go back, and for me, it makes me 26 years old again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and I really believe in the game. I believe in the game, and I believe in Arena Football One. I do. Jerry Kurz has been exceptionally great to me in my career. Jerry Kurz, is one of the inventors of the game. He was there from day one when Jim Foster drew it on the back of the manila folder. Jerry Kurz was right there, and Jerry's got a great vision for the league, and they're doing a great job. Gary Compton, football operations, is a great leader for us. He does just phenomenal things, and Christy McEwen, in the front office there as well. Like, it's just a great group of people with Arena Football One, and I really think the league is growing, and I really think there's a lot of true positivity. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be involved. I'll be honest.
Right. Yeah.
I don't need to do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to do this. That's what I should say. I don't need to coach arena football. I want to coach arena football. Like that.
Right.
To answer your question, my passion is coaching arena football. Like that is what I decided to do. That's what I did. Like, I had many chances over the years when I was first started coaching, like with Erie, I'd have college jobs and I'd have different other jobs that would come up, and I didn't do them because I wanted to stay with this game. I enjoyed this game. I fell in love with this game. I guess you call arena football lifer. I even tried to. I was like out of it for a little bit, and I get drawn back in.
The magnet pulled you back in. Yeah.
Yeah. You get pulled right back in, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this has been awesome, and I'm sure we can chat again sometime in the future. Deep dive some more stuff on FCF and some of the other, like, we didn't even touch on the book today.
Yeah, we didn't touch on the book. I got a couple books. I'll send them to you. All that stuff. But it's a lot of fun, man. Like I said, we're fired up for the Michigan Arsenal. Like I said, we have a great owner, George Bradford. Things have gone exceptionally well in the market there so far. It was really exciting after the press conference to see all the business leaders and all the community really starting to rally behind this thing and want to be a part of it. And we're excited to grow this and get it going.
Yeah, well, the social pages for the Michigan Arsenal just got fired up not too long ago. Those are going to be linked in the description below. So if you're watching this on YouTube, scroll down just a little bit, go give them a follow. Let them know you heard them on Off the Wall, on all the social pages that they have there. Coach, thank you again for hopping on here. And one last question here. What's next for the Michigan Arsenal? Like, where do we go from here heading into 2026? Sure.
We're going to continue to evaluate players. We're continuing to build our roster. We're doing it very deliberately, so I'm getting guys that are a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for them. We got to make sure they fit our culture, what we're trying to build, and they fit our systems of what we want to run. So we're in that process right now, and we will have an open workout. So we'll have an open workout. The information will be on the website very soon. That workout will be tentatively the first weekend of December up there in Michigan. So we're really looking forward to that. Look forward to evaluating some players in person up there.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see all this unfold, and Malik Henry is a hell of a start, and I'm excited to see who else you bring in and as that roster starts to take shape. So thank you again for the time today, and best of luck heading into 2026, and we'll stay in touch. Okay.
Thanks, Trey. I appreciate you.
Big thanks to Coach Shawn Liotta for joining the program and talking about his football journey, talking about the Michigan Arsenal. We could have sat here for hours talking ball with him about all the places he's played along the way, the different players he's coached, FCF. We could have gone down a deep rabbit hole with FCF. So we'll definitely have him back on the program to talk ball. And over the next couple of months, we should have a lot more information about the Michigan Arsenal and the AF1 to dive into. So go make sure you follow Coach on Twitter at Twitter/X, and then make sure you're following the Michigan Arsenal on socials as well. We have those links down below to go follow and let them know you heard them on Off the Wall. We're going to dive right into AF1 news, and the biggest piece of news out of the AF1 from this past week is that the Minnesota Monsters head coach Tony O'Neill will be stepping down for the 2026 season. On Wednesday, he posted on his personal Facebook page that he was stepping down due to mental health and personal well-being. And it looks like OC Darren Clark Jr. is slated to step in as the head coach for the Monsters. So kind of out of nowhere, it seemed like things were on the up and up. And as recently as earlier this week, Coach O'Neill was on the stream or in the stream comment section of the AF1 Fan Zone stream with Coach Liotta, who was also there. And it seemed like he was very eager. And I think at one point they were talking about the 138-point game. And I think Coach O'Neill was like, bet 138. All right, challenge accepted. Then 2 days later, he's stepping down. So I'm not sure how all that happened behind the scenes. Something changed quick, fast, and in a hurry. But hope for the best for Coach O'Neill. We've had him on the show before, and obviously he's a talented coach and talent evaluator based on who he's been able to bring in for this upcoming AF1 season and what he's been able to accomplish in the TAL over the past couple of years. So best of luck to Coach O'Neill, and hopefully we'll see him back on the sidelines. Maybe not this upcoming season, but the season after, and we'll have to see how all that unfolds. But a lot is being invested in Minnesota right now for that 2026 season. Roster-wise, it's not cheap what they're putting together. They're putting together quite a roster of very talented players across the board at basically every position possible to this point. Still have a few things I'd like to see them improve on, but Minnesota is going to be a very talented team on the field. They're just going to be without the straw that has stirred the drink there for the past few years and Coach Tony O'Neill. But we'll have to see what the organization does moving forward to kind of make up for that loss that they'll have for the 2026 season. Sticking in the AF1, we've got the Oregon Lightning as well. They're showing some signs of life for the first time this all season. They've signed a few players early on, but then haven't really been active. And it was like, all right, they got 3 people on the roster. When you look at Kentucky, Nashville, Minnesota, Albany, they got 20 plus at this point. It looks like Oregon's starting to show some signs of life, which is good. But their most notable signings to me were the returns of a couple of wide receivers from last year in Chris Lewis and Maurice Ashley. So the more continuity that they can get returning year over year, the better for that offense, and the better that they'll be able to perform to kind of pick up where they left off last year, where it seemed like they were kind of getting things put together on the fly. And some weeks they were looking like, all right, this team might be able to do something. Other weeks it was like, did they practice? So hopefully we see a lot more of the earlier than the latter this upcoming season with some of that continuity at the wideout position, which is arguably one of the most important in arena football. You pair those wide receivers with Dalton Cole, who is slated to come back for Oregon as well, and this offense could take the next step. And we'll have to. I keep saying we'll have to see, but that's what comes with the offseason, is that it's a hurry up and wait game for a lot of these teams, especially Oregon, who's starting to fill out the roster, and they have quite a ways to go from here. And we'll have to see, do they bring back some more of those pieces on the defensive side of the ball? Do they kind of retool? Do they bring back some more local talent to Oregon, Washington, Idaho, that region of the country, that Pacific Northwest? We'll have to wait and see. Speaking of the Pacific Northwest, we're going to talk about the Washington Wolfpack next, and they re-signed defensive back Micaiah Lee, who's been basically the standout defensive back of that secondary for the past couple of seasons in Washington. He'll be returning for this 3rd year in Everett, and defensively, Washington was a lot better than they got credit for. The offense was so bad last year that it sunk the defense and put them in some really bad spots all throughout the season. So on paper, they gave up a ton of points, but to me, you point at the offense not being able to sustain drives or really do anything worthwhile to put that defense in a tough spot. So I do think the defensive side of the ball played pretty well, all things considered, considering the spots that they were put in. But Micaiah Lee's coming back, and then Jadarius Byrd is going to be playing for the Washington Wolfpack as well, who's a veteran of the indoor and arena game. So that secondary is coming together very, very nicely. But if we're talking about Washington, we need to talk about that quarterback position. We need to talk about that offensive line. The offensive line was basically a turnstile last year. I think there was a game, I want to say it was the Nashville game in Everett. I jotted it down on paper. There were 30 times where the Nashville defensive line was able to break through and get pressure on the quarterback, and the quarterback was just running for his life the entire time. And that's just not a recipe for success at any level of football, let alone arena football. So, skill wise, the quarterback position's got to get better. Offensive line has to get better, and play calling has to get a lot better for this Washington Wolfpack team in order for them to take that next step and be better than the doormat that they were last season in the AF1's first inaugural year. So Washington putting together some key defensive pieces. They've got some strong wide receivers on the team as well, but I still really want to see them make a splash signing at quarterback and or offensive line to be able to take that next step. Flipping over to the IFL now, and the biggest piece of news out of the entire indoor and arena football landscape over the past week, it's the Massachusetts Pirates officially announcing that they are leaving the state of Massachusetts. They announced that they were leaving, but they have not yet announced where they will officially land. So they're squeezing every ounce of this news cycle out of this that they can, but it's yet to be seen where. But all signs are indicating that it's going to be in the Central Florida area. It's looking like it's going to be Orlando. Some rumblings have indicated perhaps Tampa, perhaps Lakeland, which Lakeland is in between Tampa and Orlando. But it's looking like Orlando is going to be the move for them. And yeah, we've seen prolonged success in Orlando in arena football with the Orlando Predators all throughout the 90s, the 2000s, and the run that they had late 2010s and heading into the inaugural AFL season of 2024. And then they were supposed to be playing in the AF1 in 2025, but, things and stuff happened and that just didn't really come to fruition. So the fan base is there to support it. But to me, the Pirates are going to have to do a hell of a job to hit the ground running if they are going to be playing in 2026 to really get involved locally in Orlando. If they do end up playing at the Kia Center, which I would imagine that's where they play, just knowing Orlando, because I'm from there. I don't know if you guys have caught that yet, but just knowing Orlando at Kia Center probably makes the most sense. But it's a large building. It's a large venue. It's definitely going to be the biggest in all of the IFL, if not all of it, or indoor and arena football, if that is where they're going. There's a couple other spots in Orlando that they could do, but then you're looking at, 30, 40 minutes outside of the greater Orlando area at that point. So again, remains to be seen on where they'll be playing officially, what arena and all that. But wouldn't be surprised if they get pushed to 2027. That way they can get some stuff together and get their act together. But it's looking like 2026 is going to happen in the Central Florida area. So more news is to come on that, and we'll have to patiently wait and see what ends up being announced and when with the Pirates. Then flipping through some transactions on the transaction wire on goifl.com. I think the biggest thing that jumped off the page to me was kicker Gabriel Rui from the Iowa Barnstormers was traded to the Vegas Nighthawks. So it's a big move for Vegas as they bring in one of the top kickers in the IFL. Gabe Rui was outstanding over the past couple of years. He's one of those guys where when he gets hot on the deuce, he can light you up for 3 or 4 of them. And kicker was a bit of a sore spot for the Vegas Nighthawks last year before Ben Derby came in and got in the mix and really helped steady the ship for them and ultimately helped lead them to an IFL national championship. And the kicker position cost them a ton of points early on in the season. So bringing in Gabe Rui kind of alleviates that concern, alleviates that problem, and puts your special teams in a really nice spot, especially in a venue like Vegas that's seems to be a little bit more kicker friendly based on what we've seen historically there. And yeah, Gabe Rui can launch it, and I'm excited to see what Coach Mike Davis unlocks with him and what they're able to do. And if that offense that was dynamic last season starts getting more and more points on the special teams through the deuce, look out. Vegas could be in a really nice spot to potentially run it back in 2026. But Iowa also re-signed a couple players from last year. They re-signed wide receiver Andre Williams, defensive lineman Tyler Tate, and then defensive back Jared Saad. And there was not a lot to hang your hat on from last year's team. Let's just call it what it is. 1-15, gave up, it might have been the most points in IFL history on defense, but these three were some of the brighter spots on the team, and they were able to bring them back, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Tyler Tate, I felt like he should have been an all rookie team in 2024. He was snubbed out of that, and he played pretty well last season, but it's tough to get the recognition and the tip of the cap when you're playing defense on a 1-15 team. That's just not great, not getting it done. Jared Sad also played pretty well in the spots that he could and came up with some game changing plays throughout the season. So Andre Coles is getting some pretty talented players back from last year while also molding this team into his own version of what he wants and what he needs to be successful. So Iowa is starting to piece things together, and it's looking like we'll get a little taste of 2025 Iowa, but not too much because that tasted bad. It was not a delightful taste, but we're getting some of the parts that were some of the notes of the 2025 team that were bright spots are coming back for them. But rocketing through a couple more here, we've got the Tucson Sugar Skulls. They signed wide receiver Tamorian Terry and Tyler King at running back. So Terry is coming over from Quad City last year. He also spent some time in Jacksonville, Duke City, and Vegas for the Vegas Nighthawks as well. He's a very big, very physical wide receiver. He brought a lot to that Quad City offense last year. He was able to stretch the field and provide some big plays downfield for Daquan Neal. And so if he's able to bring that big play ability to the Tucson Sugar Skulls and what they're building on that offense, he's a good one to build around. And you bring in somebody like Tyler King as well. Tyler King played running back for the Jacksonville Sharks the past couple of seasons, really exploded towards the end of the 2024 season, not just on offense, but on special teams as well. If you remember the infamous, or not infamous, it was awesome. Why am I saying infamous? The the kick six against Quad City, oddly enough, at the end of the 2024 season, where Jacksonville caught the missed kick, returned it for a touchdown with no time left to walk it off at home. That was Tyler King. He's dynamic. He's unbelievable. And last season, he had some injury issues, just like the rest of the Jacksonville running backs, it seemed like. But Tyler King is very dynamic when he's healthy, and bringing Tamorian Terry and Tyler King to this Tucson Sugar Skulls offense, that's good. Those are very good signings for the Sugar Skulls, and they need some consistency on offense. The defense last year played pretty well throughout the entire year, but the offense ebbed and flowed. So hopefully Terry and King can bring some consistency to that offense and really give them a fighting chance week in and week out. But the last team we're going to touch on is the Fishers Freight. They had some big additions. One of them is a very big addition, literally. Offensive lineman Navon Donaldson coming over from the Massachusetts Pirates. He was a 2025 All-IFL first team lineman. He was an all-rookie a few years back, and he's just so good at doing what he needs to do on the offensive line. To be able to pass block, run block. He does it all, and that's exactly what Fishers needs. Fishers has a very physical run-first identity. It's no secret what Dixie Wooten brings to the table when he's calling the plays on offense and when he's calling the shots as the head coach. And I think Donaldson's going to fit that identity very, very well and fit in perfectly in Fishers. And some of the players that they're bringing back as well, they're re-signing wide receiver Journey Sloan and running back Dominic Roberto. Dominic Roberto also played with Massachusetts last year before signing with Fishers about midway through the season. So a couple Pirates are being reunited in Fishers, and I'm a big fan of Journey Sloan. Journey Sloan played with Duke City in 2024, played with San Diego for a bit in 2025. I thought he was going to have a breakout year in San Diego. Things didn't really work out, but he was able to get over to Fishers towards the end of last year. He's the one who caught that Hail Mary to beat Green Bay. That was all over ESPN. It was on Pat McAfee's show. That was him. Oh, Gorno. Yeah, that's Journey Sloan. So I'm excited to see this Fishers offense really take shape. And with Felix Harper at quarterback, another former Massachusetts Pirate there, it seems like Fishers is picking some former Massachusetts Pirates parts and putting together quite the roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And Fishers is looking like they're going to be able to pick up where they left off towards the end of 2025. Fishers started off strong, 2-0, lost 9 games in a row, but then won 5 in a row to end the year and just looked really, really good across the board towards the end there. So, we'll have to see if they can pick up where they left off in 2026 and hopefully avoid a 9-game losing streak and be able to make the playoffs in their second year in the IFL. We're going to flip over to the NAL for a couple signings. It's been pretty quiet in NAL land over the past week or so, but a couple signings did jump off the page to me that I wanted to touch on. First off, Lex Rosario, wide receiver for the Colorado Spartans last year, is re-signing and will be back in Denver in a Spartans uniform. He was an interesting situation last season where he was signed for the Orlando Predators before the AF1 season started. Things happened with the Predators, didn't really work out. He ended up going to Billings for a bit. Things and stuff happened in Billings. He ended up leaving Billings and signing with Colorado, and Colorado already had a pretty stacked wide receiver room when he arrived, so they ended up using him a bit more as a running back, and he excelled. He excelled in the role. There were multiple games where he had multiple rushing touchdowns, and he fit the role perfectly for what they needed out of him. And he was the league leader in receptions in 2024 when he was with the Tulsa Oilers of the IFL. So he's a dynamic playmaker on both the ground and through the air. So we'll have to see how they end up using him in Colorado, whether they, use him as the wide receiver that he is, or do they kind of use him in that hybrid running back wide receiver role that they did last year. I think that's going to depend on the quarterback situation as well. Do they bring back Andre Sale? Andre Sale and Lex Rosario have been attached at the hip for a couple seasons now. They were in Tulsa together. They were in Orlando together. They were in Billings together. Then they were in Colorado together. So that's 4 stops in a row in less than 2 years where they were playing together. So it seems to make sense that Andre Sale would potentially come back, but we'll have to wait and see if he's around for another year and see what happens. But this wide receiver room for the Colorado Spartans is pretty stacked when you're looking at it in comparison to the rest of the National Arena League. You got Lex Rosario, you got Bizette Woodley, Stephen Newbold, Travion Mosby, and that's just a couple names. They have a very deep wide receiver room, and if they can just get a quarterback that can facilitate and get them the ball, this Colorado team can be very, very talented and very deadly. It seemed like last year they were jockeying between a couple different quarterback situations. And they started off with Aaron Aiken, who was a big-bodied quarterback who was much more of a running quarterback than a passing threat, while Andre Sale is much more of a passing threat than a running threat. He could get mobile if he needs to, but his skill set is being a pocket passer and get rid of the ball. So do they try to bring back Sale, like I said, or do they identify another more pocket passer to be able to facilitate these talented wide receivers? Or do they bring in another big-bodied quarterback that is a little bit more mobile, a little bit more rush first, and try to be a bit more of a run it down your throat type of team and then pop it over your head a couple times a game? The quarterback position in Colorado, to me, is going to make or break their season, which is, as I say it, a crazy statement because, of course, the quarterback position is going to make or break your season, but especially for this Colorado team where defensively they've got a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. They have a lot of talent. They just need a quarterback now to come in and make things happen. Southwest Kansas is also starting to sign some players. They signed defensive back Kyle Myers, who spent some time with the San Antonio Gunslingers last season, and then Duke City in 2024. They're slowly starting to piece together the roster in Dodge City. It seemed like some of the other teams got a bit more of a head start while Southwest Kansas is taking the more slow and steady approach, but still about 5 months away from kickoff. So you got plenty of time to be able to piece some things together. And Salina is also doing the same. They've signed a lot more talent than, I shouldn't say a lot more talent, but a lot more players on the Salina side of Kansas than they have in Dodge City to this point, including re-signing a player that retired at the end of last season for the Salina Liberty in Dwayne Autry. So Dwayne Autry did this whole farewell tour, I guess. It was like a retirement tour all over socials, and that retirement was very short-lived, and he'll be back for 2026 for the Salina Liberty. So Salina is very good at being consistent with the players that they bring back year after year after year. You look at Tracy Brooks at running back. You look at Kerry Starks. You look at Dwayne Autry. A lot of folks have made Salina their home because of the Liberty, and it's cool to see that type of continuity in a market like Salina, where you could just tell that they need that continuity and they need those players being a member of the community that they're in, not just on the field during the season, but off the field during the off season as well. So the state of Kansas start slowly but surely piecing some things together, and there's a lot more news to come. So we'll just have to wait and see how the rest of the Southwest Kansas Storm lineup and roster comes together, as well as the Salina Liberty. And that's the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to check it out. Big thanks again to Coach Shawn Liotta for joining the program and talking ball, talking about the Michigan Arsenal. Very excited to see what happens over the next couple of months. Very excited to see that black and red turf field that they're ordering, custom, brand new. Excited to see what the Dow Center over in Saginaw ends up looking like. And it's exciting times, but it's also a little scary. But to especially over the past couple of years, we've seen what's happened in and around the arena football landscape. So hoping for the best for this Michigan team, and seems like they have the right people in place in the leadership side of things to make it a success and score a lot of points on the field as well as off the field, community relations wise as well. So excited to see what Michigan does. Socials, please make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. Where you are, we are. Go follow us on socials. Come say hi. Come join the conversation. offthewallfb.com. We've got t-shirts for sale, so go check it out. Go get your size before they run out, including some little surprises in some of the packages as well as they're being sent out. I'm sure you'll see them pop up on socials as some of them start to get delivered to some of the folks that have already placed some orders. And then Royal Retros, we have an affiliate link in the bio below, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click through that affiliate link, check out Royal Retros, and use code OFF-THE-WALL for 10% off your purchase. They got lots of cool stuff on there, lots of defunct arena football teams, some teams I have never even heard of. They got gear for them. So go check it out, go explore, and let me know what you find. Let me know your favorite shirt, your favorite hoodie. Like, they got all sorts of cool stuff on there. So go check it out. Let me know what you think. And then YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're liking the video, subscribing, commenting, all that stuff. And Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're rating the show, liking, sharing, peer pressuring your friends into liking arena football. The typical stuff, the usual. There's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about 50 minutes here listening and watching this show means a lot. So appreciate the support. Come check us out on socials. Come join the conversation, like I said. And hopefully we'll hear some more news across the leagues over the next week until the next show, until the next time we record here. So take care. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on socials. Bye.